Greetings petrolheads, my name is the Tom, you're on my gaming channel, and it's time for another episode of Automation, the car company tycoon game. Somebody asked me like probably a month ago, I can't even remember who it was, to build an SUV, like a custom-made SUV that doesn't exist in real life, and here I am, building an SUV. I have kind of an idea of what this car should look like when it's done, and the term SUV is, I think, a little bit overused in common language. For example, people call a Dacia Duster or, you know, a Volkswagen Tiguan and stuff like that, they call those cars SUVs. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think that an SUV, like, first of all, let's get into the definition. What does SUV actually stand for? It's Sportive Utility Vehicle, and for that reason, I think calling you know, a Dacia Duster or a Volkswagen Tiguan sporty is not really justified. It is a term that I think gets that I think people throw around too much, and that as a result, every tall off-roader with four-wheel drive is automatically an SUV, even though that's totally not true. What would I consider to be an SUV? You know, stuff like a Range Rover Sport, stuff like a BMW X5M or a Porsche Cayenne. Those are SUVs to me, but not stuff like, you know, a Suzuki Vitara or a Mitsubishi ASX. Those are not sporty. Those are not, you know, they aren't really... Okay, the Vitara, yes, but like the Tiguan is not even really meant to drive off-road, so what's that gonna do with an off-roader? Like with a sporty off-roader, if it's not sporty and not meant to be driven off-road, then what's that gonna do with an SUV, right? Anyway, I'm gonna stretch these screws out a little bit more, like so, and then create some custom headlights. So as a result, now that I've completed that tangent, I think the aim here is pretty much clear, and it is that I will try to make this car sporty and able to go off-road. That is what I'm gonna be aiming for. Like a sportiness rating of, I don't know, 20 or 25 or something like that, at least, at the very least, and probably off-road of like somewhere between 40 and 50, I guess, is what I'm aiming for here. Drivability should be high as well, because it's always nice to have a road car that you're actually selling to people, if that's drivable. Like, if it's not drivable but meant to be used on an everyday purpose, then that doesn't really make sense, does it? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna give this thing two smaller indicators. like right there. And then I'm gonna fill out all these areas. Nope. Yes. I want you. Not you. Okay, how do I do this? Nope. No. Okay, there we go. There are the headlights. Then I'm gonna put down a number plate right in the middle of this front end. And I don't think we need a lip on this car, because it's not really a sports car, even if it says SUV. It's, you know, whatever. We are going to put down one of those grills though, and that grill is gonna be exactly as long as the main grill. And then we're gonna put down some vents that are going to contain the fog lights, which are probably gonna be LEDs anyway. And some vents that are just as big as the first ones, but no, not these. These, yeah. Like that. That is what I think an SUV could look like. I'm not gonna say that is what I think an SUV has to look like, because that's kind of cocky, isn't it? Gonna put down some LEDs for fog lights. Those aren't truly LEDs, I realize that, but it's the closest we can come to LEDs, I think. So why not use that? And I want them to actually be visible, so I'm not gonna make them as small as possible. And there is this one right here, and then we're gonna put down one more. There it is. Also gonna put down some chrome, I think, because that just, I think an SUV should have a little bit of chrome, because it is most of the times an SUV is expensive, so it should have at least a little bit of chrome to make people know that it's an expensive car. And you know, chrome just makes a car look more expensive. That's the main reason behind this. So there's some of that, and we can probably go so far as to make this like here, and then put some number plate lightings like right there, and make them tall enough. Okay, no, that doesn't look right. Can make this though. That looks a little bit better, I would say. We don't need anything on the bonnet, because again, this is not a true sports car or even a racy SUV or anything like that. Remember, we did go for McPherson's front and semi-trailing arm rear, because we want kind of a compromise between off-road capability and you know, tameness, sportiness, and so on. Gonna put on this right here, and then another indicator like back there. We do still want door handles on this thing because it will be kind of advanced, but actually let's go for the chrome ones. But it's not that technically advanced that we would have like doors that only open out electrically. On the rear end though, I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. So let's start with that right here. Put this like right there. I want to do something similar to what I did on the front end. But now I need taillights, obviously, not headlights. Wow, so we're gonna put down this right here. Then we're gonna choose throw one of these bad boys down here. And then we're probably gonna only make this like so, and then one of these diagonally, so that we get a shape like that. And now we're gonna put down some more of these red ones. So that we can then choose when we're gonna go for some white in there. No, one more I think. And yeah, now I can really feel good about putting one of these down here. One of these kind of LED strips that are essentially white, but with some smaller light bulbs in here if you look closely. Yeah, I wanna make one of these here, and then another one that goes diagonally, like so. Obviously we have to adjust the angle and the size. And then we are gonna put down some more of these red ones. They overlap the LEDs. That's a little bit unfortunate, but what I can do is I can probably put these right here. That's better. Now how do I do this? I want to make it so this area between these white areas is red, so I think that's gonna make it look really cool. I just don't know yet how to pull that off successfully. And actually, now that I think about it, there's no reason to make this a simple white taillight rather than another LED. Perfect. Now we can put down one more of these and make the edges stand into the adjacent red taillight fixtures. And that's gonna be really cool. Nice. I like that. Where do we put the indicators? I think we put the indicators like here. Maybe a little bit bigger so they're easier to see. Then on top of this indent I started with, I'm going to put down a badge. And some more chrome on top of this whole thing. Good, but we need to make this longer still. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, that's perfect. That's just how I imagined it. Awesome. And now for the rear bumper, we're gonna... There was a pretty cool grill that I saw in the mod pack and that I think will be very fitting for this car. If I could just find it. That one right here. Okay, so it's the very last one. And we're also gonna put down one of these on top of it. We don't need a lip on this car, as I've said earlier. Okay, so this is yeah, that's good. And we're gonna put down some exhaust in here. I haven't really decided which ones I want in here. Probably just simple ones, these right here. And then we can make it so we put down some chrome surrounded braking lights in here. I think I want to make them like right here. And then put down some chrome between them and the exhausts. That is not perfect placement, but we can maybe make do with it anyway. Yeah, that looks proper now, and we can totally put down some more chrome between, like, between the taillights and the just center of this whole arrangement. That makes it look a little bit like it flows a little bit better, you know. Oh yeah, okay. Now let's go ahead and change the color to maybe a dark blue. Oh yeah, I like that. We might want to change the length of this piece though, like so. Yeah, that's better. Good. I like this. I like this design. Hope you guys do too. Oh wait, we forgot something. I think I want one of these, or actually two of these things in this headlight arrangement to make it stand out a little bit more. like so. Oh yeah, okay, good. That is how I think my SUV should look. And now it's obviously time to build an engine for this. We want this to be all-wheel drive because, you know, it would be kind of beneficial, I guess, to have this thing be all-wheel drive. We want a V8 in here, and we want this thing to be relatively high stroke and not so high bore. Let's go for like yeah, 5 liters. Since everything these days has to be economical, we're gonna go for a dual overhead cam, no VVL, forged steel is probably enough. Let's go for I-beam steel, forged pistons, and we're gonna go for 35 cam profile here, probably around 10 compression, no VVT, a turbocharger with like really low boost, 0.5 bars should be enough. We want this thing to kick in as early as possible, so let's reduce the compressor and turbine size. 42.5, that seems reasonable. And we also want the AR ratio to be a little bit higher, so we make at least some power out of this engine. It's going to be direct injected. We have premium gas, completely leaned out, 6000 RPM limit is totally enough. 80 ignition timing, so we were gonna make the power early. And about, yeah, that should be enough. Exhaust. 277 horsepower. Okay, that's a little bit too low. Come on, you know what? Let's give it 45 cam profile and increase the rev limit to 6500 and adjust the turbo settings, because this is getting ridiculous. Yeah, 305 horsepower. We also want more boost. 312 horsepower is still not enough. You know what, let's decrease the compression ratio to like 9. And then we can go up with the boost up to like 0.9. And yeah, that's better. 600 Newton meters, 323 horsepower. It's still not really what I would call a fast SUV. It's still not. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go for less economy and more power and torque, because this is an SUV, and an SUV has never really been economical, has it? Let's go for 1 bar. Then a little bit more AR ratio, like 1. 40 millimeters turbine, bigger compressor, and even more AR ratio. 1.10, 1.20. Okay. How much are we making? 477. That's actually getting closer to what I would expect an SUV to put out. 488 these days, at least, because, you know, Range Rover Sport makes like 510 horsepower. BMW X5M makes 560 or something like that. Yeah. So I think I'm content with 490 horsepower, even though it's a little bit underpowered. It's gonna be fine. In here we want a double clutch gearbox, because that seems to be the standard now with... I don't know, let's go for 6 speeds for now. 127 miles per hour is a little bit low though. So we want at least like 162. Second gear should go over 60. We want a very good diff in order to put that power down. Let's put normal road tires on there. Why were the tires so big at first and now they're tiny? Let's make them big again. 720. 18-inch rims, because you know other SUVs nowadays come with like 20, 22-inch rims, and 18 is kind of in the middle, you know. 225, 245. That's fine, I think, because we do have all-wheel drive and a good diff, so that these tires should not have a problem putting that power down. We want alloy wheels because steel would just be nasty in such an expensive vehicle. Vented discs with 6 pistons front, because this thing's gonna be heavy, and 4 pistons rear, like 340 millimeters. I don't think we want any under tray, because this is an off-roader and we want this thing to go off-road, and if you do so, then you might damage the under tray. We have so much cooling capacity, 2418.2 kilojoule per second. That is ridiculous. We could probably fit like a 2000 horsepower engine in there, if it would actually fit. That is, we don't need to worry about wing angle because we don't have any wings. Gonna put 5 seats in there with some premium interior. Actually, let's put luxury, premium infotainment, all driver aids, advanced safety, and then what's good for off-road? Active comfort. I'm guessing adaptive would be best here. Like if you can adjust what kind of underground you have, and you can set you know, a gravel mode or something like that, then it would be very beneficial. But semi-active, would that mean that it would adjust itself? I don't know. I really don't. So what do we get here? We got a sportiness of 24.8. That is pretty good for such a large car with 2.4 tons. We got off-road 19.92. Like, really? Why is it that low? What about now? 26.56. I got the off-road preset here. Let me check something. What about now? It's exactly the same, okay. It's probably better to have an automatic off-road, if I had to guess. I'm losing almost a second from 0 to 60 by taking the automatic here. It's even less. Okay. I have no idea how to get that off-road stat up then. Probably by changing the suspension type here. Yeah, off-road is low on the semi-trailing arm. It is average on the multi-link suspension though. So what does that mean in numbers? 35.36. You know what? I'm content with that. 0 to 62 miles per hour is 4.5 seconds. That is definitely on par with, you know, Europe's finest SUVs, if not even better. Wait a minute, why is the gearing so off? It should go more like that. Second gear should reach 100 kilometers an hour. It still does not. There we go, probably. Yep, that should be it. So I think that's gonna sum it up for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button, it helps out a great deal. Also consider subscribing if you want to see more content in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.